produced. Now, how did this vehicle slot into the General Motors lineup? Well, the base price on this Bonneville was $3,433. Now, one down from that, the Chevrolet Impalas were retailing for about $2,900, $2,950 in that zip code. The Oldsmobiles, the 88, was almost the same price as this, but the 98, the top line Olds, was $4,200. And then the Cadillacs, even the Calais, the base Calais, was $5,200. So it represented about, let's call it a little less, 15% premium over the Chevrolet. And then if you wanted to go to the 98, you were paying about $800 more, or 25% premium for the 98 over this. Then if you went to the Cadillac, you're paying $5,200 or $1,800 more than this car. So it's almost a 50% premium. Example, rides atop 124-inch wheelbase. The Catalinas were on 121. If you went to the Olds or Buick, the Delta 88s and LeSabres had 123-inch wheelbase. The 98s and Electras had a 126-inch wheelbase. Cadillacs were 129.5-inch wheelbase. And the Chevrolet Impala was 119. So you kind of got more and more and more car, the more you paid. It makes logical sense. You're paying by the pound, right? It's just like deli meats. Departure from the 1964 model year, there was a lot more slab-sided, and Pontiac was coming off of some styling themes in the early 60s, like the 63 Grand Prix, that really were its response to the Lincoln Continental of the time, believe it or not. And you could see that in the designs just in terms of the sculpting and the form language. But by 65, obviously there's a lot more form here. The curvature on the body sides, as well as the front having more of a pronounced W shape and the headlight having this carved out bucket, I guess, if you will. I love the spear in the middle that would clearly not pass any pedestrian impact standards today either. And you did get a Pontiac unique feature in this time, butterfly wipers. The Parisiennes in Canada did not have this, by the way, and the Canadian Pontiacs didn't, but the US Pontiacs did. And it works well. Both of these are what they call articulating wipers, so they sweep very vertically at this end of the travel as opposed to rotating. Very functional design and works great. With the reverse lights inset in the bumper, this wonderful chrome trim, the block lettering appears again, this 3 taillight theme. And this, I don't know what you call that, like a backwards sloping quarter panel. Reminds me a lot of the 2000 era Buicks, like the Park Avenue. The LeSabre didn't have that in the 2000s, but the Park Avenue did, and the Riviera of the time, although that terminates at the rear door, whereas that car, it went all the way forward. Well, here we are in the interior of the 65 Bonneville, and there's few cars that I would say of this era where the interior can really match the styling of the exterior, but wow, this one really puts so many other cars, I would say even the Cadillac interiors of the era, to shame. This is real wood trim here on the instrument panel. This is not fake wood. And that was something that was really not used even on the most expensive vehicles of the time, much less a mid-priced vehicle like this. Look at all the chrome A-pillar trim that goes all the way back down the C-pillars of the vehicle, and all of these beautiful driver-facing gauges, the grab handle, the attention to detail, this lucite wheel that's not just clear, it's actually tinted red or tinted to the color of the wheel. It's an amazingly detailed interior, excuse me, in so many ways. And sitting in here, you just understand that somebody put a lot of time and care into it. And you also start to understand a bit why some customers really started shying away from the domestic vehicles. Aside from the build quality on its own, think about if you were a buyer in 1965 and you bought this. Even the Catalina was very similar. It didn't have the real wood trim, but a lot of what you see in here was quite similar, including the chrome trim and the A-pillar and down the C-pillar, etc. And then you went to go buy a new vehicle 10, 15, 20 years later. This was the pinnacle. It never got better than this when it came to full-size American sedans. They only went down, down, down. And yes, the 1987 Bonneville is a pretty nice car, but there's not real wood trim. There aren't these driver-facing gauge pods. There isn't this beautiful lucite wheel, unique gear shift lever, turn signal stalk, the detailing on this is just superb. And I think that's part of what really hurt the domestics is they did such a good job in these years. There is nothing on this interior that screams a finance person or a bean counter, and I can say this as a finance person. There's nothing that screams that one of those individuals touched this interior or anything on it. It feels rich, feels expensive, and it feels finely detailed, even to the point that you have this reading light here for the passengers. I love the way the air conditioning vent is integrated into the instrument panel top pad. This is the sensor for the automatic climate control. This car does have automatic climate control, which amazingly still works. I don't want to say it works all that well. It has a hard time switching between heat and vent. They didn't have a blend door on these cars for the heater control valve. They just started blocking off more and more coolant into the heater core to lower the outlet temperature. It kind of works, but then it abruptly switches over to just vent, which comes out the upper register sometimes, depending upon the temperature. It does have amazingly cold air conditioning on R12 refrigerant. In spite of having just this upper vent, there are these, I call them knee cooler vents in each corner, and then there are the, we'll call it lower extremity coolers down here as well. So you're definitely going to get chilly in this car if you want to. But in terms of interior detailing, as I mentioned, the gauge cluster here is great. And unfortunately, this really didn't persist that much longer for Pontiac. By 1967, a lot of this went away. The wood became fake. And then the 71 to 76 generation was just a general letdown when it came to the interior. It had a cool cockpit theme, wraparound cockpit. But it just was never quite the same. And I think, to be honest, that really hurt a number of the domestics because it just didn't get any better than this. How do you improve on this for a mid-priced car? I don't know that you can. Let's take a view from the driver's seat here. I love the way the light just hits this lucite wheel. And the gauges are extremely clear. I love the turn signal indicator. Let me turn the key on. And this stalk down here that activates the turn signal lever just, it's a wonderful piece of design on its own, just like the gear shift lever up here. And they work brilliantly. Here you have the rear defogger control, the reverberation control for the radio, which you can turn on. Well, not my favorite music. And then look at the finely detailed Bonneville nameplate with the grab handle and these driver-facing gauge pods. As I mentioned, this car does have automatic climate control, and it looks like a second radio almost, but it's not. This is an AM reverberating radio, and you see it has normal, defog, de-ice. I mentioned the lucite wheel here with the wood inlay and the horn. You just squeeze that. Beautiful bright work on the pedal trim as well. And loop pile carpet with Pontiac floor mats. So this red and white kind of lipstick interior is quite spectacular. These are the optional dome reading lights that you can do that to activate a reading light, supplemental to that reading light. And the back seat is also a nice place to be, nicely trimmed, no armrest. There's the rear window defogger. For those who don't know, before there were the electric grid lines, this was a blower-style defogger. That's why it's not a defroster, it's a defogger, because it doesn't blow heated air, it just blows air to try to get some more air circulating on the back window and defog it. But what a nice place to be. How luxurious. Look at the trim on the door panels. My goodness. Well, and here we have it, a very rare option. This is the 421 cubic inch 4-barrel V8. You can tell by the chrome air cleaner lid and the chrome valve covers. The 389, the standard 389 4-barrel did not have that. It just had a black painted air cleaner top and then the same color as the engine block here for the valve covers. So this engine was rated at 338 horsepower, and Pontiac during this period was so proud of their entire engine lineup that they had a whole page in the brochure devoted to it. This car did come standard with a 389 4-barrel, as I said, premium fuel engine that in automatic transmission form made 325 horsepower and in manual transmission form 333 horsepower. This, as I said, was 338 horsepower. But you could also get above this particular engine a 356 horsepower 421 3.2 barrel V8, or the top dog, a 421 high output 376 horsepower V8 with 3.2 barrels as well. They ran about 8 seconds 0 to 60 in the day with a 389. This car is probably in the mid 7s, a little bit faster. So that's moving for back in the day for a full-size car. This isn't a GTO or anything. But I will say it's fast. And if you're going about 20 miles an hour and you stomp on it and it kicks down, it will light the tires up, even though this car also has the positive traction rear end. Close the hood up. Boy, do you miss that hood closing sound. Just tells you that the car is made out of solid metal. So here we go. You want to see a 6-body trunk? This is about 20 cubic feet. And it has the cool trunk light that you can unwind. This thing rotates. You pull it down and rotate it, and you can walk around the car. It's like a trouble light. Very cool. It's kind of no wonder why people complain about cars. They've all gone to SUVs. There's no car with a trunk like this anymore. Well, and here we go for a ride. Great turn signal. Jeez. Gotta love it when only it's half throttle you can swing the back end out on a positive traction rear car. Wow. Whoa, man, this thing is fast. Holy goodness. Well, let's see what we got here. I'm not gonna stomp on it from a dead stop really hard. I don't want to peel out, and then, you know, I haven't checked these motor mounts or anything. These old cars are at the retirement club. You want to be a little gentle to them, but doesn't mean you can't get on it. So let's see. Wow. And here's a brief nighttime view of the car. I did have to mute the sound that was originally in the audio because I had the AM reverberating radio on. It sounded great, and I was trying to demonstrate it, and of course YouTube picked it up as a potential copyright claim. But in any case, you can take a look and see what it's like here to drive a 1965 Pontiac around at night. Just beautifully lit gauges, the light glistening off of the lucite wheel. But the nighttime drive of these vehicles is almost just as, if not more fun than the daytime drive, because a lot of them have unique lighting that you just don't see in the current day, and it evokes a simpler time back when there was no Bluetooth in cars or nav systems or fancy touchscreen displays. There's nothing here but man and machine, and that's the way arguably it should be. Cars have since become places for not only driving but eating, entertainment, a place for your cell phone to display things on the touchscreen as well as through the radio speakers. No chance of that happening in this car. And let me tell you, it's a wonderful thing.
Greetings once again, everybody. Today we got the group build update. And this would be the Blue Ox Model Shop Street Machine group build that I'm working on. I know I got till December, but when I get fired up and into a build, then I want to do it. Everything else is pretty much on hold, and I just keep working on it. And before we get to that, we got a shop card shout out for the young one. Yeah, okay, he's not so young. Pretty sure y'all know Tom over at Ramblers69. He did me a favor, man. He sent me company. He sent Jack on over to take out my medicine cabinet. So, told me to lock it up, and I guess I didn't do it in time. So, he's a little in your face. Yep. Thanks, Tom. Much appreciated. I know you've been watching my channel and commenting on some of my videos and stuff. And one thing I will tell you about this guy, if you haven't subbed to him yet, there isn't a channel out there that I've watched that he hasn't commented on. That's support. That's commendable. That is deserving of a lot of respect. So thank you very kindly there, Tom. Much appreciated. You're always hanging around, doing your thing. Somewhat silently in the background, but always lively in the comments. So much appreciated, dude. Alright, so for the group build, some of you may know, I chose the 65 Pontiac Bonneville. And you might be wondering why a 65 Bonneville, which is probably one of the longer cars out there.
But for 1965, and for my money's worth, this is the best full-size car that was out there. And at least Motor Trend tended to agree with me because they named the entire 1965 Pontiac lineup as the car of the year.
One of, but not the, because we'll get into some of that specs later. But so far, I haven't done anything to this body other than smooth it all down to kind of clean it up and get it ready for a primer. I got it into primer yesterday, and I started sanding on it last night. And I don't know if this will work in here, but maybe. You can see there's a pretty nice glossy shine on it. And this is primer, mind you, which is flat. And I do have my my light over there facing away so that this doesn't wash out. But it does have a pretty nice shine on it. There we go. It's nice and smooth all the way across. And as you can see, I thought about doing the panel lines first and not first, just to see which way works better, because I'm inevitably going to do the panel lines, so it won't matter if one side doesn't match the other at first. At least as far as I'm concerned. Whoa. Get you guys all knocked around like little old Terry over here falling on his face. Oh, hey. Okay, yeah. Technically, that's Terry. That's Rick. Just for those who don't know. And I did get the hood done the same. Got it primered and ready. This is how far I've gotten on the interior. Basically nowhere. Haven't done anything. Well, actually I've done quite a bit to this, to be honest. I had to narrow this down a little bit on both sides because how it goes up in there, these were hitting the C-pillars before the rest of it, and then when the glass comes in there, there's supposed to be a little gap, but these were already touching and it was causing an issue. So I cleaned these edges up a little bit, and I also notched out this little, right where the dashboard meets up, so that it could go up in higher where the wing windows are. It's just a small little notch out right in there. And I got rid of the 4 plugs there, and there was 2 more back here. Got them out of the way. I'm debating if I want to get rid of the pedals down there or just put some new ones over top of it or what. These are very small for what should be in there. But one of the problems I've been having with this, which is kind of a bummer, there's a window crank, a wing vent crank, an armrest, and a badging, and you can't see any of that. I mean, there's literally almost nothing there. And there's a window crank back there as well. And I'm not sure why, but the ashtray is way back in the corner when it should be up towards the front. I mean, if you want to put ashes in your armpit, go ahead, but it should be up here by your knee. So I'm not sure. I'm probably going to scuff them off and put a new one up front, just simply because it's not that big of a deal. But for the window cranks, I went and I made some of my own. I just started whittling away at a piece of plastic until I got them right. And then I took some small round stock and cut off the knobs for them. Yeah, there you go. Kind of hard to see, but that's two of them. Ooh. And that's four more of them. Yeah, it took me a while to sit there and carve them. But, you know, small little detail like that, that kind of comes in. It makes a big difference in the end, right? And yeah, I know some people are probably like, well, why didn't you get photo etch parts? Why buy what I can build? And why not build what I can enjoy building? I mean, photo etch parts, yeah, neat, cool. Might as well just fucking color a piece of paper and put in there. They're so freaking thin, they don't really add any more than what's already there. So, yeah, I'll choose to make my own like that because I can. And they're a little thicker, and they got the little grab handle, so. And then as far as the dash goes, I haven't really done anything to here. I did cut off and drill out these two little air conditioning vents, which this is clearly not an AC car, because there should also be a vent under here and another one up on the top, and there's no vent, so it doesn't have AC on this car. Whoever chose to buy it without AC, probably not the smartest person, but whatever. But I'm actually looking forward to doing this dash, because we got wood grain, chrome trim, black gauges, and then the rest of this I believe is either body color and vinyl. So this part has to be body color, but this part has to be vinyl. So once I get that part taken care of, then we can go on to this little bit of a project here. Yeah, a steering wheel. Not so hard to do, right? Wrong. I'm actually thinking of taking some clear, heating it up and stretching it to see if I can make a circle or at least two half circles, because this should be a lucite steering wheel, and it'd be really cool if this was actually clear, you know, to give that lucite look to it. So I might even have one in my steering wheel box up there. I'd have to look, but if I can find a clear one to put on there, that's probably what I'll do, because the lucite is what's supposed to be there. And another little modification I did. Oh, look, there's color. Wonder where that come from. Anyway. So anyway, what I did here was I cut the original brake booster off because it was a single pot and it had a really dinky booster. It was really short. I mean, the freaking wiper motor was bigger than the booster, which should not be the case. I mean, I know those are big, but this is a lot bigger. So when I went to replace it and I was looking for another single instead of a dual master cylinder, with the single, if you lose one brake line for one tire, you lose the whole system. All right. So I'm like, yeah, let's upgrade. This is a street machine. Let's upgrade to disc brake up front, okay? Let's do that. I don't think I did, but I got duals now, so I can actually say I have disc up front, okay? Good. Glad you agree. It's a model. Got to imagine some things. As you can see, there's also some black wires up there and down here and over there. That's just marker at the moment. I am going to paint this in a flat black. And again, there's no heater core in here. So I don't know why they do this, but clearly there should be a bigger bump right there for the AC heater core stuff. I mean, if you get cold in a model car, I guess that's your own problem, I guess. I don't know. And I did do one other body modification, and I'm not sure I'm digging it. I do have another one of these kits, so I might pull it out at some point, but so here we have our front grille. What you think is our front grille? It's technically not. We have our grille and a bumper that I cut off of here all the way around. Got that shaved off of there. I'm still not too fond about the molded in headlights. Kind of on the fence about that yet. I was debating on carving out the back and filling it in, but I kind of like what's in there a little better. I mean, it's really deep. It doesn't need to be that deep. But what I was seeing on this that's a problem, you might not see it, but on this side, where you see that darker line going up, you got the headlight with the bezel, and then behind that you got little lines, kind of like you'd see on a 59 Cadillac. I don't think that's going to work. Yeah, we won't blind you with that. But on this side, over here, the top part, you can see starts from about here, which leaves quite a bit of room back and forth. You spin over to this side, and it's way down here. You barely get any of the upper side. So I'm thinking this whole thing is like, this side is pushed in. It doesn't quite line up on the hood either. There's a core support that goes in there. You got to trim it down a little bit to squeeze the fenders in to get the edges to line up. And then you got to clearance it on the hood as well. A little centerpiece in there. There we go. But yeah, if you happen to cut this, it gets really wiggly. Be careful. But I made my little strut bars here for, where's my grill? I'm going to try and use the custom lower valance. And that's what them little tabs are for. Oh, in there. And then we're going to put the custom bumperettes in the front. And it looks like it's a little off again, but it's not. It's more of an optical illusion than anything. And I might have one of these straighter than the other. You can see this one's aimed up, this one's more flat. So if I get them set down so I can get this to level in there where it belongs, whatever. So we got a little progress done on the grill. I did find a motor and got it drilled and cleaned up. We are running with the 67 Impala 427. Got the valve covers off so I can do some valve lashing and stuff like that. Got a distributor made last night. Just gotta get it painted and make the downspout, the shaft, you know. Gotta get down in there to spin that freaking oil pump to make the distributor turn, right? But I gotta find a new belt system with alternator and some stuff. I'm thinking probably power steering. I mean, it is a hell of a huge car, so. And I had to clearance my starter just a little bit because of the way the frame is. It wanted to bump on this side and kick the motor off to the corner, but we got that sorted out. That much is done. The bucket seats, they're garbage. I'm not using them. I'm going to try and find a bench seat. I believe it was a 60-40 bench, but it was a solid bench on the bottom, only the tops folded. On a 2-door. On a 4-door, it would have been a solid bench, no split. I don't believe they actually had buckets in the Bonneville. They may have on the Grand Prix and stuff thereof, but they did not on the Bonneville. So why they have those in here is probably because of the Grand Prix. And then here comes the piece de resistance, yeah? As you can see, we have a stance to it. Trying not to let it fall off of there. It's got a little bit of a rake. We got some nice deep dish in the back, mellows in the front. Let's see if I can. Might have to pop the tires off of this. We'll see here. We'll see. Okay, if I can hold it like that, we'll be all good. Alright, so we got a gas tank back there. We got some Monroe Bilstein shocks in the back. all new axle and trailing arms. Painted the exhaust. We got steering rack, A-arms, or lower control arms. And we got a nice stiff 1.5 inch stabilizer bar. Yeah, this rear axle is all custom built and mounted up in there with coil springs. Oh, yeah, I saw that coming. They're still just set up in there at the moment. They will be mounted when it's time. But this used to have the molded in rear axle, and all I did was cut all the way around that and down into there to get rid of the molded in axle and trailing arms and things thereof. And now we actually have a cover plate and a real axle. And as you can see, these little pins here, there's 2 more up there. Those are from my exhaust, because when you cut all of that out, even that disappears. So from right down here at the bottom and right at the back of the muffler, drill a hole, take some solder, put a little bit of heat shrink tube on it, bend it down in there, and paint it to match the rest of it. And now you actually get exhaust. And I also did the same down here on the tailpipes, because they were just molded in. I cleaned them all off and I drilled a hole. And the reason I stopped right there is because that's actually a muffler clamp. So I'm like, we'll leave that in there for now. But I do have tailpipes that I made so far, which I haven't gotten the back bumper on there to test fit how low they need to go or anything. So I may end up cutting this back a little further, to be determined. And it's probably not going to be able to see it here, but this used to come all the way straight back. So I cut it down because this should actually go up to the bumper. It shouldn't come straight out. It should come up at an angle, so when you fill it, it goes down into the tank, right? I kind of thought so too. So we got that notched and messed around with a little bit. Other than that, we really didn't, well, we did put a transmission mount cross member under here so that the transmission had something to land on. And to get my front stance, I cut the pegs off, moved them up, drilled a hole all the way through and pinned it so that these are nice and solid again. And that gave me a little extra room. And one thing I will say, the wheel arches on this kit are a little bit out of line. As you can see, they're way far back and everything. The tire is pretty much where I want it in the wheel opening. This is a little tight, and this is way loose. So, whatever. And I wouldn't say these are too tall. These are probably about right, maybe just a little too tall. The ones up front, however, they sit too far forward. This almost shows out the wheel arch. This hits the bottom of the fender. The hood rests on it, which is too damn high. And then this is literally far enough forward where it doesn't really make any difference. But yeah, this kit's been through some ages, man, I can tell you that much. And another custom job that I did down in here, I found some half round, and then I filled in the void up here to make the chassis nice and complete. I built my own little cross members to kind of fill in the void to connect to the center bottom there. It's not complete, it's not full, but it's a whole lot more than there was before. So yeah, she's coming along pretty nicely. She's getting there. I'm digging it. Dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it, dig it. Yeah, you can kind of see that. And then we got the body. in the body. So yeah, thanks for checking it out. And what's really cool is the trunk is definitely big enough to put more than 2 tires in the back. Those are slicks, by the way, big slicks. These are the taller, bigger Goodyear Eagles, and these are your normal size Goodyear Eagles from most monogram kits of the time. So yeah, I was thinking if I wanted to open the trunk or not. I didn't really have a specific plan for it or an idea until I realized that with the Street Machine, you would probably go to Sick Week, which is you drive the car, pull a trailer with all your supplies, you swap out the back tires, do a little test and tune on the motor, run it down the track, swap your tires back out, fix your adjustments, and then drive to the next location. All in one car, period. And it's a whole week long, bringing one site to the next, and you just keep on driving, dragging, driving, drag, and drive and drag. And so I thought, you know, what if I could put the tires in there and fill the trunk up with duffel bags and things thereof. And yeah, it kind of tells the story, but in the end, I don't really think that's what I need to do with this one. It's not really a gymkhana, carkhana, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it would do the little racetracks just fine. Big, heavy car, probably not all that super fast. But we'll have a 427, and I'm pretty sure that will hold its own. Sits right down in there. So anyway, I'm going to get back to work on this. I got a lot of farting around to do. I gotta figure out the interior color so I can continue with that part. And hopefully, if the sun comes out today, I can get some paint on the body, get that much done. And if I don't slow my roll, this will probably be done in a week or two. So, catch me if you can. Kidding. Yeah, I know I got till December to finish it, but I'm not one of those 3, 4, 5, 6 months to build a kit kind of guys. I'm anywhere between 1 and 2 weeks, sometimes 2.5 weeks to build a kit, depending on how much I do to it. And that's because I do sit at my desk all day, not only an hour after work or once in a while on the weekends. I'm literally here almost all day, every day. Summer is here, things will change a little bit, but I'm going to get back to building because that's what I love, that's what I do, and that's what I think maybe you should too. Because watching my videos or building your own kit, I think building your own kit's a little better than watching my shit. So anyway, come on back if you want another update when I get that far, and thanks for being here, thanks for watching. Don't forget to go check out Mr. Frizzo at Frizzo's Model Cars. Link in the description down below. You'll appreciate it. He's cool. So anyway, we'll talk to you all later. Till next time, bye.